For this lesson, go back into secondary media and go into the multicam key right here and pick up Andy 1 and drag it down. If it says that it doesn't recognize the video format, just click yes through that. Don't worry about it. And don't forget, because sometimes you see me with a different area down here. I'm going in here and using these different options to change what I see, including, of course, the height of the clips. I'm trying to conserve space as much as possible, obviously. And I will mention one other thing to you. Sometimes, this may never happen to you. If it doesn't, that's great. But you might, in the middle of working, get an operating system notification message saying that you're almost out of disk space and you need to throw some things away. Don't ignore that, all right? Stop what you are doing and get out of Final Cut Pro, because chances are, if you do one or two more things, because Final Cut Pro saves automatically, doesn't it? It won't be able to save because it doesn't have the disk space. It won't know what to do. It will crash and you will lose work. So that's not a good thing. If you see that, remember, stop what you're doing and go ahead and change it. Now, in this chapter, we did work with white screen, but we used it in a non-conventional way because the technology allows that, and we used it to key out the background and put me into a couple of different spaces. Now, this one down here, same one, white screen. White screen is designed, and black screen is designed primarily not for keying. It's designed because you want to be against a white screen or a black screen. In communication, that's good because there's nothing around me that's distracting you and you're focusing on me and what I say. But there are some things that we can do here without keying it. We can change things around. For example, one of the things you can do if you're working with a cameraman is basically every once in a while he zooms in on you and he zooms out. And let's try that one first. So let's say we get about here. Now that ball right there is the default clip. Anytime you see that little circle on the timeline, even though this is not selected, any changes are applied to the one that has the ball. And you know it goes away when I select, because now I'm overriding what it says is the default. Now we only have one, so obviously it's going to choose that one. But wherever you see that ball, and it will be on the top one, that's the default one. You don't have to select it if that's the one you want to change. In this case, we'll just go ahead and select it anyway. Now what I want to do is I want to make me bigger as if the cameraman is zooming in on me. So we'll start let's start at the beginning. Let's go into our transform options. And I do have my inspector open over here, of course. And click this button, which will give me automatic keyframes on position, rotation, scale, and anchor. Move to another position, like say about here, and add another set. So from here to here, I'm not changing. But now the cameraman decides to zoom in on me. This works best, obviously, if you're working with HD material. If this is low resolution, low quality, it might not look so good. But from this point to where? Well, how about to about here? That's where I want to start growing. Now remember, when you're working in Final Cut Pro and you add a keyframe, the cool thing about adding the keyframe is that if you move down the timeline and add another effect, you change something, you transform something, the keyframe will be added automatically because Final Cut Pro understands in order to perform the change it needs the keyframe, it adds it. So if we go into Scale, right here, here is the keyframe button. I don't have to click it. All I have to do is change the scaling, and you see it automatically adds the keyframe. I'm going to get myself bigger. And I need to change my position up and down. And so I'm going to go up here and go into X and then Y. Why? Because it's up and down. And there's the keyframe for that one, just like that. Now, if we come back over here, let's see what we got. Actually, let's click Done, too. You don't have to, but we will.
All roads lead to, where? Rome? All roads lead to a final destination, obviously. Our final destination when we're working in Illustrator, well, that kind of...
So we can use that type of effect to generate a change. Now, if we get, say, to about here, let's add another set of locking keyframes. Let's go here, click for transform, and click here again. So we're saying from that point of the last keyframe to here, stay here in this zoom, but now I want to go back down again. So... well, let's go down about the same amount, say to about here, and we go back into our transforms. Now, I've got 154% on scaling. If I had wanted to get 154, I would not have been able to catch that number. I just can't get the numbers that I want by dragging. So I'm going to get in here and type in 100%, take it back down. Now we need to change that part too, don't we? So we're going to get into here, and we're going to change that to 0. Now if we come back out again, let's start way over here and see what we got. Let's click Done too. Again, you don't really have to do that.
All roads lead to a final destination, obviously. Our final destination when we're working in Illustrator, well, that kind of depends on you. We're going to talk about some of the ways we wrap up these projects.
Let's stop here. Let's add another set of locking keyframes in, and let me show you one other way you might use this. I am against a white background. I could put text up there, maybe to augment what I'm saying, but I need to move myself over a little bit to the left or maybe the right because I don't want the text on me. So we have our locking frames in here. Let's go ahead and move down just a little bit more. All I really want to do here is slide me to the left. And so I can get into position, go to X. I love being able to just click and drag. Now the keyframe's there, but we got a problem, don't we? Well, we're exposing the storyline, and the storyline by default is black, and I hate it when that happens. But how do we solve that? Well, go into generators, right down here. Go into solids. Go into custom, and drag it over. Now we need it at least about there, I suppose. Select it. Go to color, but not here. Click the actual color itself. Go into the Apple palette and go down to white. There you go. So the black area, the part of the timeline that was exposed, is now covered because we're using the same solid color as the background. I can do anything I want with me. I can move me. I can resize me. Let's close this out. Let's go into, say, our text. And in text, you have some interesting things under elements. You do have instant replay. We don't want that. You could put a little speech bubble there. Or how about this one right here? I don't know about you, but I am best in show. And once I get it in there, just like that, let's go ahead and click Done up here so we're not distracted. And with that selected, I can come in here and say move it and stick it right over here. I am best in show. Tell you what, let's go into our transitions, and I do have it selected. So if I double click, it'll put a cross dissolve on each side of it. And if we come back down our timeline to right about here, let's go ahead and just look at that part.
Start with saving for things like the web or even beyond. What do? How do you save something for even Microsoft?
Keyframes are controlling everything, but it's the creative part that you bring into it that can bring some entertainment to something that might otherwise be just a talking head shot. And it's all done against a white screen or even a black screen. It's up to you.